So there was a study done last year, right, on manifestation, which is the ability to cosmically attract success through positive self-talk, visualizations, and symbolic actions. Now, this study focused on the psychology behind believing in the manifestations, and they actually found out that a third of the people that did believe and endorsed manifestations had a better chance for success, and they achieved more, and they took more risks, and they just got more out of life because they believed that they could. They had this sort of like main character mentality. Now, I want to return to what I said at the start, which was that manifestation is, so it's positive self-talk, visualizations, and symbolic actions. Now, I really want you to draw your attention to symbolic actions, because that's kind of like the whole topic of this video. So seeing symbolism in your life is very important. It's one thing that most people neglect. They kind of just live their lives passively, and they don't really look around and analyze what's going on. To tell you a bit about me, for the past 2 years, I have been living this mentality of sort of analyzing your life, seeing the symbols and things. And I noticed that my life actually went down when I stopped doing that, when I stopped sort of analyzing things, and how actually a life symbol kind of brought me back to life and sort of gave me more energy and sort of brought me back to where I am right now, where I'm confident enough to sort of make videos and tell my story and things, the reason why I'm even doing this. And it all starts with my job that I had about 2 weeks ago. I started it around like 6 months ago, something like that. And I started the job because I just finished my exams from school. Like I just finished them, I'd done pretty well, and I had really like no purpose. I didn't really know what I was going to do. And I knew that I wanted to go to university. I kind of knew I needed a mission. And so I went and got a job. I went and got a full-time job. But this full-time job, it was not like mentally stimulating. It was not interesting. It was really boring, really mundane. And it's not me just like talking shit about the company, because like I'm sure some people enjoy it. Like if you enjoy it, you know, do your thing. You know, I'm not here to tell you how to do anything. I'm just telling you my perspective, how I saw it. And for me personally, I didn't enjoy it. I was really burnt out really quickly. And to tell you the truth, I'm not like a lazy person. I'm not an idiot. I'm not being boastful, but I'm quite athletic, and like I should be able to do this job dead easy, right? Because all it was just like stocking shelves. It was easy work. It shouldn't have depleted me of energy, which is what it did. I had no energy at the end of every single day. And I didn't know why, right? I was so burnt out, and I was working this job because I wanted to save money for university, get a car, things like that. I really needed this. I thought I needed this job because I was also trying to fill my own sense of purpose. And when I realized that I was getting burnt out from it, I ended up going on holiday to try and sort of recoup. And I went there with the intentions to journal in my book, mainly in a peaceful, fresh environment that was different to my home, because I found it hard to journal and think in a home that was kind of contaminated by like the stresses of everyday life and the job that I was living. I needed a fresh environment. So I went there to journal. And I went to journal because I actually found out that the reason why I was so burnt out, even though I shouldn't be, was because this job was just not mentally stimulating me at all. When I analyze things and when I give things meaning, my life has meaning. When I don't do that, I kind of don't have the meaning. If I don't recognize symbolism in my life, then I'm kind of stuck. I'm not really enjoying it. So because I wasn't mentally stimulated in this job, my brain kind of like it just had nothing to do. So I needed a break. So I took my journal right to Jamaica, which is where I went. I went to Jamaica and I journaled about it. And in the end, I kind of decided, like at the start, I was journaling in the book with this pen, and I was saying to myself, do I want to stay in this job? What's the plan for next year? Yada yada yada. Try and understand my life. And I kind of decided on this idea of discipline, and that I need to stay disciplined, right? I need to just keep working the job, just, suck it up, try and, make it more interesting, maybe, get more involved with things and talk to customers more, stuff like that. Just give my mind something more to do. And I was deciding to just keep the job and to go back and just kind of enjoy myself now, and then come back and hopefully be less burnt out and just be ready to keep making more money. That was the plan, right? And then as I sort of like ended that sentence with a period, with a full stop, the next day, funnily enough, we found out that there was a hurricane coming. It was a really big hurricane, and it was a really dangerous hurricane. And there was all this sort of talk going around that this hurricane. Some people were saying it was kind of like split, right? Some people were saying that the hurricane would be no big deal. Like all the Jamaicans were like, "What hurricane, man? It doesn't matter." But then all like the British people, all the like Americans and Canadians that were there, were all like scared. It's like COVID. Some people sort of didn't really believe it, and then some people were really scared of it. It was kind of like split, you know. It was quite like a polarizing subject, and so I was kind of in the group that was like, yeah, it's no big deal, like, yeah, whatever, you know, it's not gonna affect me, like, it's just a hurricane, I'll probably survive it, you know, it's not my time yet, that sort of thing. But then when it hit, just like when COVID hit, when it actually came, it was actually really scary. And I guess I was less scared than most because I still had this belief that I'd be fine, but it was still quite scary. And that's when everyone joined together and that we all knew that this was a dangerous, like, catastrophic event. And like a day before the hurricane went so bad that all you could think about was, am I gonna live or am I gonna die? I took some time to journal again, a second time. I got my journal out again and I decided to redo what I'd already done. If I was to die right now, would I be satisfied? If I died, would I be satisfied with how my life was going and the decisions that I made? I actually found out that I wasn't. I obviously was not happy because I was in a job that I hated that wasn't mentally stimulating enough. I only came to this realization because a hurricane hit. And I saw this hurricane as like a message from the universe. Like, I took it upon myself to decide that this hurricane is coming down and it's telling me to live life to the fullest. It's like when you think that you've got forever, just be disciplined and, you know, make money. You know, you've got years to like figure out your purpose. You've got years to make content, which I knew that is what I wanted to do. Like, you've got years to do that. Just make money now, go to university X, Y, you know. You've got years to do that. But then the universe is like, no, mate, you don't. Just forget that belief. You know, I'm gonna bring a flipping hurricane. I'm gonna bring a hurricane and I'm gonna rain hellfire on you. I'm gonna make you reflect and think, am I living life to the fullest? And I journaled about it, and no, I wasn't. I was not living life to the fullest. So I made that decision. I was gonna quit because of that. Now that's a pretty important story for me because it proves to you that symbolism can bring about action. It can bring about change. And the people that believe in manifestation, people that believe in symbols coming down to tell you things, it proves that sort of influences a riskier decision. Like in that study that I was telling you about, the people that ended up doing the manifestations and believing they were, you know, going to be successful and that they should live life to the fullest, those people actually ended up taking more risks and choosing to live more and just be happier. And I think that's kind of what the message of today is that to stop living passively, stop thinking that everything that happens in your life is happening to you. You know, like, oh, I'm doing a job that I don't like. Oh, you know, there's a stupid hurricane ruining my holiday. Stop thinking that life is happening to you and start thinking life is happening for you and it comes from you. I hope you realize that symbolism is a really important way of realizing that. Give meaning to things. This whole idea that life happens to you, not happens for you, not to you, it all starts by recognizing the signs that the universe is giving to you. Anything can hold symbolism, anything can be symbolic. It doesn't have to be a hurricane, it doesn't have to be like a catastrophic event. You know, your parents don't have to get murdered, you don't have to be Batman. Your parents don't have to die for you to realize that you're born to be a vigilante or like a successful individual. You know, that doesn't have to be the case. You can find symbolism in just about anything. Like I found symbolism in a Brazil nut, of all things. You know, like when I was in a different chapter of life, I used to find eating Brazil nuts just to be really tasty. I used to tell people that it tasted of chocolate and like, oh, if you eat enough Brazil nuts, it tastes like chocolate, right? This was in a time when I was really happy, a certain time in my life. It was like, oh, Brazil nuts are really good. And then in a different chapter, when I'm trying to change, when I've recognized it's time to change the story and my identity's changed, when I'm in a different season, I went and I tried to eat those same Brazil nuts. And instead of it tasting like chocolate, I was eating it, it was tasting of like ashes. You know what I mean? Like there's symbolism in anything. I found symbolism in a Brazil nut, you know, like that this is a symbol that life is different now, that what once was good is different. Not that Brazil nuts are necessarily bad, just that overall something that I tied heavily to that chapter is gone and you need to move on from it. So me not liking the Brazil nuts anymore was not that Brazil nuts tasted different, it was that the meaning behind the texture of it was gone because it was a different chapter. I hope that makes sense to you. I don't know if I'm articulating that well, but the fact that I could find meaning in something as little as that means you can find meaning in anything. So I want you to start looking out for the greater meaning of things. But one thing you must do is anchor yourself positively to success. So don't look out for signs that the universe hates you and that you're about to die and that, you know, you've got bad luck and, you know, this happened, you know, oh, am I gonna survive this? Oh no. You gotta anchor yourself to success, man. Anchor yourself positively. Believe the universe is guiding you to good, not that the world hates you. That is one of the biggest mistakes you can make, right? There is people that I know that believe that the universe hates them and that, whoa, why is life so hard for me? Those people aren't happy. Those people aren't finding success. There is a person in my life I know for a fact chases success, puts in the work, started businesses, right? And they never worked. And I think the main reason for that is because they always thought that life was happening to them, not for them. They always blamed other things, never took accountability for their actions. They were never anchored positively with the universe. I hope that makes sense. So to live your life like it's a movie, you need to recognize the symbols, because movies have symbols if you didn't know. There is a film theory that I know called Chekhov's gun, and that is where anything that is shown on the camera must come back later and bring some sort of catharsis, which is to make it make sense, right? So everything that is shown on the camera has to come and make sense later on. Start living your life like that. Everything that happens in your life has happened for a reason, right? Find the symbolism in it. Start thinking that everything that happens to you in your life will come back and make sense later. But don't fall down the rabbit hole of overthinking, you know, don't bring too much meaning to everything, because not every little thing in this world needs to make sense. But for the important things, for the decision making, for things that make a chapter of your life, give it an explanation. You owe it to yourself. You need to reach a balance between overthinking and underthinking. I would try and be like the sort of person that doesn't underthink, like 99% of people who just don't think about anything in their lives. Nothing has meaning, nothing has value. But don't be like the sort of person that is like autistically trying to understand every single little thing and overthinking and then not taking action because this and that might happen. And you need to strike a balance between those two people. You know, be the type of person who is introspective. That's a really good word I like. Be the introspective guy behind closed doors. So if movies have symbolism, and if you want to live your life like it's a movie, which sounds exciting, doesn't it? Like, gives this like dopaminergic feeling, right? Like, oh, cool movie. If you want that, then you got to recognize the symbols. I know I sound like a broken record, but I want this to be drilled into you, that you need to look out for meaning. Take more risks like those people in that study did, because taking more risks equals more chances of learning, more experiences. And just like in movies, characters take risks, characters try things, characters make mistakes, characters get what they wanted. Characters achieve their goals in movies, don't they? Like, there's very few films, unless it's like a sad film, where the character wants something and then they go through trials and tribulations and at the end they don't get anything, they don't learn anything, they're just where they started. That's not how movies work. Movie characters don't start and end in the same place, do they? They start, they want something, they go out and try and get it, they get what they wanted, but then they pay a heavy price for it, they learn, and then movie climax, they get what they wanted in the end, usually, unless it's like a sad film. But ask yourself this: when you set goals, are you setting them to go through an arc of transformation? Are you trying to change? Are you trying to evolve? Are you trying to learn? Things happening to you and they just don't mean anything. That's why your life doesn't feel like a movie, my friend. So to live your life like a movie, live like that. Recognize symbols, recognize that you need to learn, you need to live more. Believe in manifestation, manifest your life, use manifestation, manifest things so that you can achieve greatness. This is the best piece of advice I can give you for the future. I hope you take it. Let's get after it.